A new team is headed to the Bay Area, but this time it's going to be for the WNBA. They have announced the Golden State Valkyries are going to be joining next door to the Golden State Warriors, bringing some more pride to the Bay Area, but this time wearing purple and black. If you guys are excited for another team to come to your city, go on ahead and spam GSV. You guys will now have a WNBA team in the area, so if you're excited for the Golden State Valkyries, spam it down below. What's going on, Dove Nation? Welcome into Warriors Today by Chat Sports. You got Allie Barefoot here, and Steve Kerr recently sat down with NBC Sports Bay Area and kind of addressed his future moving forward with the Bay Area team. We do know that Steve Kerr has 2 more years under his belt, and he has a couple of other coaching opportunities coming up here for his career, which would be really exciting. But how much longer do we think Steve Kerr will actually be the head coach of the Golden State Warriors? Well, he discusses it in just a few moments. I want to make sure first you guys are up to date with what's going on in Steve Kerr's career, because he is going to be in his 11th season this regular season. He's 58 years old. He will be coaching Team USA this summer, including Steph Curry and LeBron James, which will be super great for Kerr and Curry. And then recently, he did sign a 2-year contract extension to match Steph Curry's contract. So regardless, he will be here for the next 2 years unless he does break that contract. But they see that he has a lot more to give the Golden State Warriors moving forward. So I do think that Steve Kerr wants to remain with the Warriors for the next 2 years. But some recent comments could lead to me thinking otherwise. Look, Kerr's getting older, man. He's 58 years old. He's been through a lot. We know he's played in the NBA. Then he came to coaching. He's been almost here for a decade now, moving into his 11th season. And he admitted that as he gets older, it gets harder to be able to communicate with the younger generation. I mean, I talk to my niece and nephew, and I'm like, what are you saying half the time? So I can't imagine Steve Kerr trying to communicate on the level of basketball here with those younger guys as well. And we know he had to turn to the younger guys a lot this season. Veteran ball really wasn't working for Kerr for the first time, and I would say his coaching career with the Warriors. So he really had to relate, which we do know that Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody did let him know they weren't very happy with their playing time with the Warriors this season, and they kind of lost faith in the franchise. So Steve Kerr brought them back to reality and gave them what they wanted. But could it be coming sooner than expected that Steve Kerr is done with the Warriors? Well, here's what Steve Kerr had to say. I definitely think in every job in sports, there is almost always a shelf life. And for a coach, I think I feel it when it comes, and I did not feel it this past year in terms of it's time to leave. I feel like we've got a couple of years here with Steph, Draymond, and hopefully Clay. We're still going. We're still bringing on a whole group of young players who are doing really, really well. I'm loving my job every day. I love coming into this building every day. What's not to love about the Bay? So I don't know if he meant to rhyme there, but he did. So I can't wait for next season with the Warriors. And I'll be honest, that's a lot from Steve Kerr, and really being honest there, saying he loved coming to work every single day, because if I was him, I definitely would have my days where I'd be like, man, I don't want to go into the locker room. There was a lot of stuff that happened this year. Draymond Green's suspensions, not to mention Klay Thompson getting ejected as well. You got the younger guys wanting to play just as much as the veterans. You got the veterans who want to play just as much as the younger guys. There was a lot that went on internally for the Golden State Warriors this year. And personally, I think a lot of it did affect how they played on the court. But Steve Kerr is a man of his word, and if he wants to stay, he'll definitely prove it. He went on to say in his interview with NBC Sports Bay Area, there's going to come a time, and maybe it's in 2 years when my contract is up. Maybe that's the time when it's time for me to move on, in time for the Warriors to seek new blood and new ideas. We'll both know when that time comes. I can tell you one thing, it will be very amicable parting of the ways whenever that does happen. So it looks like Steve Kerr is at least going to let the Golden State Warriors know, hey, look, this is how I've been feeling for a while. I do want to go ahead and part ways. It doesn't seem like Steve Kerr is going to be the type of guy where they lose on a random Thursday and he goes to done leaving. He's like, I'm out. So obviously he does have a contract for the next 2 years. He does have an obligation to the Warriors for that time being. But obviously he's done so much for the franchise that if he were to sit down with Mike Dunleavy in the near future saying, hey, I've got to put an end to this, whether it's my age, whether it's all he can handle, whether he just wants to move on at the end of next season, before the next season, whatever it may be, Steve Kerr is going to let the franchise know. But I've seen a lot of your comments in here saying that you're really not a huge fan of the way that Steve Kerr handled the last year. And maybe you guys did see some of his age coming out here in the past season. So I want you guys to go ahead and comment down below. When should Steve Kerr retire from the Warriors? Do you think he should coach another year with the Bay Area team? Do you think he should fulfill his contract? Go ahead and comment it down below after hearing what Steve Kerr had to say about coaching the Golden State Warriors. And then on this back half of the show, I'm going to break down a possible trade scenario that one NBA Western Conference executive did suggest the Warriors uptake in. So go on ahead and stick around for that. While you guys are at it, go on ahead and play Prize Picks with me. I'm playing it every single game day. I'm going to prizepicks.com/CLNS, and I'm using that promo code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. When I get there, super easy. All you got to do is pick between 2 to 6 players and just pick more or less. That is literally it. That's all you have to do to win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. I only went with 3 here for the NBA postseason. I've been loving the Knicks and Pacers series, so I've got Isaiah Hartenstein to have more than 8.5 points. Miles Turner, the big man in Indiana, to have more than 17 points. And the man of the hour, Jalen Brunson, who has been lights out with his shooting in this postseason, to have more than 34.5 points. You guys go ahead and copy mine or test your own skills by going to prizepicks.com/CLNS using that promo code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. And all you got to do is pick more or less. It is truly that easy with quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and projected stat types. That's why I play Prize Picks. You guys can too. There is no secret the Golden State Warriors have to make the playoffs this season. They have to, or else there's going to be a lot of changes, and they may not want to keep Steve Kerr around because they ended up losing in the first round of the NBA play-in. I know that Steve Kerr and the rest of the Warriors were extremely upset with their performance that year, and they really had to fight for that play-in spot for majority of the end of the regular season because the Houston Rockets were creeping up on them up until the very end. So if the Warriors don't make the playoffs next year, there's going to be a lot of changes, whether people are ready for it or not. Plus, the Dubs have already said there's going to be big changes this offseason, and they even made the play-in this year. They have got to play better. Their record has to be better, which means for that to happen, you have to change your roster, and they have already said they're going to do that. But who should they go out and get? That's been the number one question this entire offseason so far for the Golden State Warriors. Well, one NBA Western Conference executive had an idea. He told HoopsHype that Dejounte Murray looks like he is going to be the player they should go out and get. Of all the guys they might be able to trade for, Murray is probably realistic because he does not make a ton of money, and they could add him, put him in Paul's spot, give up 2 first-round picks, and now you've gotten some defense in there. You've got another scorer in there. You have a guy who makes some sense. I think Dejounte Murray would be a great fit for the Golden State Warriors. He's young. He hasn't really been meshing well with ice-cold Trae Young in Atlanta. He's been on the trade rumors for a while for the Atlanta Hawks. Now Trae Young has also entered that conversation. So if they're looking to rebuild in Atlanta, I think that Dejounte Murray would be an immediate addition to your scoring and your defense for the Warriors. What he did in 78 games for the Atlanta Hawks, 22.5 points per game, 5.3 rebounds per game. So obviously he's not afraid to go down low and clean the glass. 6.4 assists per game, which is perfect. Music to my ears for somebody like Steph Curry. That's about what Chris Paul was averaging this year in assists anyways. And he's shooting 36% from downtown. The only thing, because I know when you see the stat line, you're like, why would we not go out and get Dejounte Murray? Well, it's because he is starting a 4-year, $114 million contract, which may keep the Warriors a little bit away from Murray because of how expensive he is. And I would only say they wouldn't get Murray if they keep Klay Thompson. If you have to pay Klay Thompson, you can definitely put Chris Paul and Andrew Wiggins in a trade and maybe even get more than just Dejounte Murray from the Atlanta Hawks. But if you want to keep Wiggins and bring back Klay Thompson, I don't know if you can afford Dejounte Murray, so that's going to be a conversation Mike Dunleavy in the front office are going to have this offseason. Do you guys think the Golden State Warriors should trade for Dejounte Murray? Go on ahead and comment why or why not down below. If you guys want to, I will cook up a trade right now. and let you guys know about it in my next video. Go on ahead and comment that down below. Do you want Dejounte Murray to be with the Golden State Warriors? And if you do, hit that sub button for me, because if they do make any trades, which they will be making trades this offseason, we'll have it right here. First thing, Golden State Warriors by Chat Sports. Go on ahead and hit that sub button for me.